I have to say, again, it's been a tumultuous week for myself personally, and it's always a tumultuous week for the nation. And I came home, from the hospital, from the whole experience of what was a very, very serious situation, and thank Hashem, for His deliverance from that. That I really experienced a tremendous healing. I came home to this horrible terror attack that took place this past Friday night in Jerusalem.
Neve Yaakov?
In Neve Yaakov, right? Seven Jews were murdered. Because they were Jewish, right? That's why they were murdered right outside a synagogue by a 21-year-old Arab. They have names, Raphael ben Eliyahu was 56, Asher Natan, a 14-year-old boy, Shaul Chai, 68, and a Ukrainian national woman, Irina Korolova, I'm not sure her age, Ilya Sosnensky, 26, and a married couple, Eli and Natalie Mizrahi, who actually were sitting down to their Shabbat meal and heard a commotion outside and came out to try and help, and they were murdered. And it's so, and then there was another attack on Saturday morning perpetrated by a 13-year-old Palestinian from East Jerusalem, and the whole idea of this kind of attack and the reaction that people have, and Israel being blamed, by the Palestinians for the measures that Israel is taking, because Israel actually had an operation in Jenin shortly before, because they had pinpointed with intelligence that there was going to be that there was a cell operating there that was planning a serious attack. The whole idea being that there are people that are blaming Israel for because its governing coalition, and I quote, includes far-right extremist and religious parties. And the whole conundrum of what's going on is so mind-boggling. That the people of Israel voted, and they voted for a coalition which, hopefully, God willing, will stand up for some Jewish rights. For the people of Israel and the land of Israel, and it's being branded as, the State Department has already said that they're not going to talk to these ministers, that they're not going to deal with them, that they're being ostracized and demonized. And these labels, far-right, extremist, religious, what does it even mean? It means that if a party is based on the fear of heaven and on respect and honoring the values of Torah, so they're branded as religious, as if that's a problem. Far-right and extremist is a code that refers to anybody who talks about the fact that, well, we don't really deserve to be murdered for being Jews in our own land, and there's something very, very wrong here, and we have to make some sort of order here about whose land this is, and do we have the right to build homes here, and do we have the right to live here? And so it's so amazing because, and that's why I brought up the whole idea of Amalek, that came and attacked Israel, who already showed flaws in the crystal, who already were divided and split into camps at the sea. One saying, let's just go back. One saying, let's just go back and serve them. One saying, let's forget the whole thing and throw ourselves into the sea. One saying, we can fight them. This whole idea. So the left in Israel, for example, can't admit defeat. And they're saying, oh, we have to take over. We have to take to the streets. But the people of Israel already took to the streets and they voted. That's the whole idea of what it means to take to the streets. So instead of respecting the people who voiced their preference and the direction that they wish the government to go, and the representation that they choose for themselves as the people of Israel, they didn't get what they wanted, and therefore they have to be in total denial. I know it sounds familiar to you. It sounds
very familiar.
Yes, I know. Yeah. But and so this goes along at the same time with another idea that I'm sure you've heard a lot about, which is this whole concept of the judicial overhaul that is a priority of the new coalition. What is that all about? Because there are these unbelievable, statements that are being made, how it's the biggest threat to democracy, this judicial overhaul, and how can you talk about that? It's going to be the end of Israel. But what we're talking about here, in my opinion, is exactly the verse in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 17. In the place of justice, there is the evil. Because the court system in Israel has always been so proactive, so anti-Jewish, so anti-Torah, and this is basically an attempt to defang them, because they have been literally attempting all along to be a judicial dictatorship. And so
unto
again,
themselves.
Yes, exactly, totally above the law. And so that's really what's going on here. What's going on is that this is like a culture war. And it's like a war against this kind of like internal Amalek. Again, I'm not even talking about the reaction of the rest of the world, and I'm not even talking about the duplicity or insincerity of the American administration or any of the pressure that's brought against Israel or anything like that, which we need to talk about. But the fact is, you have this incredible attack that took place. And then in the so-called Palestinian territories, they're giving out candy.
Oh.
They're giving out candy.
Fireworks.
They're fireworks, bonfires, celebrations. Yeah. The sweet shops are opening their doors and bringing out trays of sweets. And they have these videos that are seen all over the world that the UN ambassador showed in the UN of these kids dancing with glee, and if they're and giving out sweets. It's just unbelievable how barbaric it is.
Right.
And yet, the mantra is that Israel has to make peace and that there are peace partners and that someday there could be some sort of normal relationship, and it just isn't true. And now listen, hold that thought. This is very personal to me. And I want you to understand that, because so much has happened to me personally in the past week, and I've been through so much, and I feel that I've been through so much in the past decades. All my experience in the army and raising my children in the army, and everything that we've gone through as a people, and my children who live in settlements, meaning that they are valiant pioneers who are reclaiming the land, the biblical land of Israel, and the whole deal, right? You know it from firsthand,
Amen.
right?